You can be in a relationship with the most emotionally connected, physically attractive man in the world and still not actually feel your sensuality in the relationship, still not actually feel like a sensual woman. And that's not because there's anything wrong with you or wrong with him or wrong with the relationship or wrong with the chemistry. It's often because you're not connected with your sensuality within yourself, and I can help you fix that. Hello, if you're new here, my name is Bethany. I am the founder of The Curated Feminine. I help women to connect to the best possible version of themselves through things like feminine energy, sensuality, standards and boundaries, and live the absolute best lives possible available to them. So, sensuality, let's start with that, the actual definition of sensuality, because it's not what most people think. Most people think of sensuality as sexuality, not the same thing. It's not about what happens in the bedroom necessarily. It's about how able you are to be fully present in your body. And that starts with the way that you treat yourself day to day. That starts with your connection to pleasure. And again, I'm not talking sexual pleasure, I'm talking about pleasure altogether. Life is full of pleasures, big and small, that have absolutely nothing to do with anything physical in that sense. So I like to think of sensuality as a connection to your five senses: touch, smell, all of that. So when you're able to actually feel exactly the way the warmth of the sunlight hits your body and take a second to appreciate it, the way your coffee smells before you drink it, the texture of fabric against your skin, you start to inhabit your own life instead of rushing through it. And that quality, that level of presence makes you insanely magnetic. And I'm not just talking to men, I'm talking about to yourself. Sensuality genuinely starts with yourself. So, most of us women are living completely in our heads, right? So, we're running through to do lists consistently. A lot of us do this in the bedroom too. Really wish you'd hurry up, Bob, because I'm thinking about how I really need to go water the plants tomorrow. Like, we're so in our heads, right? And managing other people's needs and planning the next thing to do before the current one has finished. And to be fair, I do that last one quite a bit. Like, I'm an efficient woman with my time. I'm a busy woman. I'm a mother of three. I work almost full time. I run a business. Like, I do the same thing. However, you have to be able to connect to your own senses, to your own life, to your own zest for life. And that's where sensuality comes in. So sensual embodiment offers us something really revolutionary when we look at the way that the world's trying to get us to operate. And it's a way of dropping out of the incessant mental chatter and feeling our feelings deeply and actually savoring things moment to moment. And there's a real science behind why this works so well. So, sensory experiences stimulate your parasympathetic nervous system. That calms your body, that reduces cortisol. So this is why the fact that we're on our phones all the time and getting pinged everywhere, and there's noises everywhere from so many electronic things around us, it's like it takes you out of your body. It makes you constantly scan for what's up next rather than being able to be in the present moment. And that's why, like, sitting outside with your cup of coffee and watching the sunset, as old school, traditional, quote unquote, boring as that sounds, or simple as that sounds, or obvious to some of us as that sounds, like, it's actively reducing your cortisol and enhancing your sensuality. So when you are disconnected from your sensuality, you are literally running on a stress response. Your nervous system is braced. And if your nervous system is braced, you can't feel pleasure. And if you can't feel pleasure, you're not experiencing life to its absolute fullest with yourself or with anybody else. So this is what I mean by you can have the sexiest man in the world who is also deeply emotionally connected to you that you feel genuinely safe with and still have trouble really getting turned on or feeling really sensual in his presence. So if things are beautiful in your relationship and you're still having trouble, disconnection from sensuality is likely the cause. I love to quote research. I've got a psychology degree. If you're new here, I spent 4 years working my booty off to get my Bachelor of Science with a major in psychology. And the reason I did that is so it could teach me how to research things in depth and how to understand things and back up what the hell it is that I'm saying. And so I love to drip research throughout my videos. And so what Emily Nagoski found is that for a man, the overlap between actually being turned on in his head and then what's happening physically is 50%. 50-50, right? For women, it's only 10%. So that means our body can be responding to things, right? So if you're making out, if you're in the bedroom, if he touches you a certain way, your body will start to respond. But it doesn't necessarily mean that you are turned on mentally. It doesn't necessarily mean that you are fully present. 90% of you can be elsewhere. And so women who complain that they feel like he's handsome, he's taking care of me, we've got a good relationship, I don't understand. Like, I can get myself in the mood, but it doesn't do it for me the same way. That's because your body is designed to get itself in the mood, but that's very different than sensuality and really being connected in the moment. So, sensual women are incredible in the bedroom because they are able to get themselves to a state of presence with their turn on. So, what that means is a sensual woman who's connected to her senses, she's able to do things like apply her favorite lotion, and maybe she's associated the smell of that lotion with her own sensuality. And so that triggers a physical response in her. You can do things like wear silky, lacy nightgowns that become a turn on, not because he thinks you're hot in it, although it's always exciting when a man really deeply desires you. Like, that's exciting for us. However, it's the way that it feels against your skin, the way that you feel like you look in that thing. That's why I do suggest to my clients and the women that show up on this channel, like, have a gorgeous array of pajamas that you feel really sexy in. Because why on earth, like, God made you a woman. What a gift. Why on earth would you not want to enjoy that in every way humanly possible and feel sensual as often as possible, right? Why would you wear things that you don't even feel pretty and are cute in around the house? Like, get yourself a beautiful wardrobe of things. I Is this 100% true? It is. It is. I genuinely spend more money on the things that I wear at home for the for the quality, for the comfort levels, for the lace, for the silk, for all the things than I do for the things that I wear out of the house. And that's because those things are for me. It makes me feel good and it enhances my relationship with my own sensuality. It enhances my relationship with myself. So here's how to actually cultivate your sensuality, because again, sensuality is related to your senses, right? So let's start with sight. What do you look at day to day? And is what you look at genuinely pleasant? Does it excite you? You can create a visual environment that you actually enjoy. This is why so most people have some level, if you work from an office, you have some level of hybrid work, right? So that means that you might have a desk at home or your desk in your office, whatever. Uh, Putting things on there that genuinely feel beautiful. Like, I've got this crystal rose that sits on my desk. It's pretty. I like looking at it. It makes me feel sensual. It's connected to my senses. Same thing with where you go day to day. So, like, when I go to work I live in Melbourne, so when I go to work in the city, for example, I will happily pay an extra $3 for the latte or an extra $10 for the glass of wine when I'm taking clients out to go sit in a beautiful place than I do than I would if I just sit somewhere that looks unaesthetically pleasing. Like, I will pay more out of my own pocket to work somewhere beautiful because it enhances my relationship with my sensuality. It makes me feel good to see beautiful things and to sit in beautiful places and to be served properly. All right, and next is smell. So when I was speaking before about putting on lotion or body oils, like for me, I wear a Chanel body oil. I don't wear any Chanel perfume. Chanel is not even my favorite scent, to be honest. It really doesn't do it for me. I do La Libre by YSL, and that's got like a it's got like a caramelly sweetness, but it's really sophisticated. So I prefer that. But at night, I always put on Chanel body oil because it feels so good on my skin. And now I connect the scent of that to, we're slipping into silk sheets. We're going to put on something beautiful. We're showered. We're clean. We feel nice. I now associate it with sensuality. So scent plays a huge role in that. You can train your brain that way, right? Pavlov's dog experiment, how Pavlov was able to get one of the founding fathers of psychology was able to get his dog that he experimented on to salivate every time he rang a bell, because he would ring a bell and then give the dog a treat. So it got to the point where all he had to do was ring the bell and the dog would salivate because he's like, oh, the treat's coming, even if the treat never comes. Same thing with putting on the lotion or the body oil or whatever. You can train your brain to associate it with sensuality. I'm putting this on. It's now the end of the day. My phone is on do not disturb. I'm now a sensual being, and that's that, right? So you can train your brain this way. And if you have a man, if you are compatible, his scent should be a turn on for you. So, I mean, you want to feel grounded and connect to your sensuality. go crawl on top of him, lay on his chest, and sniff his neck. Honestly, that will bring you into your body so quickly. And he'll like it too if he's got any brains on him. All right, so next is touch. And this, it's like when you think of touch, most of us think like touch, sensuality, of course, but how often are you actually truly experiencing touch, like really truly noticing it? So when you put your lotion on at night, are you actually noticing how it feels? The temperature of the water when you shower and how good that feels on your skin, the feeling of your own hands when you're doing something. Most of us are very disconnected to our body, from our body, honestly. I've told this story before, but I had this moment years ago where I was with a girlfriend and we were going to go for lunch and we were both getting really hungry. But we still had some more shopping to do. And so she was like, why don't we get a cup of coffee and then we'll feel less hungry? I was like, what? It had never occurred to me that, if I go and I have my almond latte, I'm not going to feel hungry for another hour. I had been that disconnected from my body and my own senses. And that kickstarted me to do more inner work in that area. So most of us are living disconnected from our bodies. It's like we're a head without a body. And so when's the last time you actually thought about how things feel? Next, we have taste. When's the last time you ate something like you really mean it? I don't mean that in a dirty way, despite the topic of this video, but I mean, when's the last time you thought about how fresh the fruit is that you're eating and how it actually feels in your tongue? When's the last time you had a dessert and really, really savored it? So I'm not a dessert girl when I go out. Generally, I've got a sweet tooth. I love my sweets, but most desserts when I go out don't really do it for me. However, I love like an affogato if it's really high quality at a nice restaurant at the end of the night, because the feeling of the hot coffee, um, the sensation of like proper vanilla ice cream, the contrast between the heat and the cold, and how that feels when it mixes in your mouth, like all of that, it's like a sensual experience. Your senses, it's a experience for your senses and for your taste. So both the feel, but also the taste. And so when's the last time you actually really thought about what it is that you're tasting and how good it is? And then last is music. Like, when's the last time you put on a playlist that felt really good? I have 3 different playlists that are specifically designed to cultivate sensuality. And if you want the link to any of those, just let me know. But having music that connects you to your senses. Like, I've got one, it's called Old Money Italian playlist. I play it on Spotify and I play that often when I'm cooking dinner. I've got another one called Dancing in the Kitchen and I play that often while I'm cooking dinner. It's like 1950s jazz, Frank Sinatra, Marilyn Monroe. It makes cooking dinner a sensory experience, which makes it a sensual experience, which means that by the time dinner is done, unless my 3 daughters have interrupted me 50 times, which yes, does happen, I'm normally relaxed and happy. I enjoyed the experience. Again, unless my children have interrupted me 50 times, okay? We're not perfect. I'm a mother of 3, but it connects you to the moment in such a different way than just quickly trying to slap stuff together. And here's the other thing to think about. A lot of sensuality in your relationship comes down to self-trust. So many women don't fully trust that they are actually sexy, that they are actually desirable, because they're not connected to that within themselves. So the more you cultivate your own sensuality through all the tips that I just gave, all the things that I just guided you through, the more sexy you're going to feel. And the sexier you feel, the more you're able to do little things with your man with this level of enhanced confidence that enhance the sexiness in your relationships. Little things like running your finger across his neck when you go to get something from the kitchen, or like I said, climbing onto his chest and properly inhaling him, or having a long hug that makes both of you melt. For your relationship, long hugs are where it's at. It calms both of you down in the most beautiful way. So women who are disconnected from their sensuality often forget their own power, like how good a sensual woman feels. A woman like you feels for a good man, how much you're able to ground him, please him, make him feel good, how much he'll crave your presence. And so when you're really connected to your sensuality, it gives you more confidence and more desire to do all these little things, like the flirt all throughout the day, that enhances your sensuality in your relationship, in your marriage. So the more sensual you feel, the more confident you are to create even more sensuality in your relationship. So in conclusion, sensuality isn't a performance, right? So I spoke about senses before, but a lot of us have it down to like a script. I light the candle, I get the lingerie, I make the specific moves, I try to stay out of my head, right? Whereas when it's less about the lingerie and the candle and more about I'm going to create mood lighting because I enjoy it. I'm going to put on what makes me feel comfortable but good and also sensual, something that I enjoy the feeling of on my skin. I'm going to get myself into a relaxed state with a bath. Like the more that you're doing things that connect you to your senses and to your body, the more sensual being you will be. So start with your senses and the rest of it follows. Thank you so much for watching. If you want more information on how to cultivate that at an even deeper level, I've got two things for you. So you can join the Throne Room, which is my mini mastermind, and you get voice notes. So me speaking directly to you and other members of the group. You get 2 questions per week that I answer with a voice note, as well as consistent voice note trainings all in your back pocket for $77 per month. So there's that. The other option is the Muse method, which helps you to become a muse for yourself, your own biggest source of inspiration, which in turn just so happens to make you a muse for the man in your life too. Not because you're trying to, but because you inspire yourself first. And sensuality is a huge part of that. So if you want to learn how to do that, click the links below and I will see you soon.